Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Hannah, for those of you who didn't know that. And today I thought I would talk a little bit more about book writing. Because that is something I have done for years and years and years. And I mean, I will say that it wasn't until like a few years ago where I started to actually write better, to be honest. Because like in the early stages, when we read them now, we just laugh and laugh and laugh because they are so funny. So yeah, but for this time I thought I would go all the way back to the beginning and talk a little bit about like the process of starting a book. Because there are some, at least in my experience, there are some things that I really must think about, because I can't just start like that, write a perfect book. That's not how I am. So my whole planning process starts in, I have a book for this, where when I find something that could be a good story, I write it down so I have it. And that means that I will have that and I can plan it out if that is something that I feel like could be a good story. So I write everything down, and it works out pretty well, because when it's written down I won't forget it. Because if I don't write it down, there is a slight chance that I will forget it, and that means that my thoughts will never become a story. And you also need to think about really what is the genre? What genre will this book be in? Is it fantasy? Is it romance? Is it contemporary? Yeah, in a dystopian world, in our world. It's on the moon or wherever. Where will the story be set? And then you need to choose who is the person? Who is the main person? Are there more than one main person? What other characters will I have in this book? And then I feel like kind of before you start the book, it can be good to think, how is this person? What things make her or him that person? Is she or he fast angry, or is she happy all the time? Or things like that. So you kind of know the character before you introduce her in the story. Because I think that it will become easier to present the person in the book if you know how the character is before you even start writing. And I feel like kind of almost like knowing the background of the character. Like, is her parents alive? Are they dead? Which is something a lot of them are. Or are they married? Are they divorced? Are one parent alive? I feel like if you kind of know the background of your character, it will be easier to reflect how the character will be in certain situations. Because the thing is, if you know your character, it's easier to kind of reflect that into the story and really get other people to know the character. So, I mean, after you have kind of planned out the characters, it's easier to kind of start with the plot, where the story will be, where it starts, and things like that. And I mean, we have a few different people. We have like the people who really just starts to write and doesn't need to plan out anything and just let it flow. And then you have a person who plan out a little and then write a lot. And the third person is a person who plans out everything. And it really depends on the story, but I usually plan out kind of everything, what will happen in each chapter. And you can use a book, you can use post-it notes to like write down what will happen in that chapter and so on. So you kind of know what will happen in each chapter. And then I feel like it will be easier when you start the story to just see what will happen what will happen in chapter 1. And when you like see what will happen, it's easier to like get a flow on it because you know exactly what will happen in the chapter. It will be easier to write everything down, because when you know what happens in the chapter, it will be easier to write it down. And I feel like when you start, write. Don't stop and kind of try to make it perfect the first time. Because the thing is, a book will never be entirely perfect the first time you write it. Because when you write it, you maybe have a thought, and when you read it again, later when you are finished the book, you feel like I should add something here that explains more, or I can take out that part because it doesn't fit in there. And I feel like once you kind of get the flow of it and know that the story won't be perfect this time when I write it, but when I revision it, I will make it better. It will be much better the second time I write it. And I feel like you must understand that. Because if you feel like this story is going to be perfect the first time I write it, then I feel like it would have slowed me down. I wouldn't have been able to get to chapter 18, 19 without thinking that I will have to revision it. I will have to maybe take something out or maybe write something that explains more. Because then it would have slowed me down, because I would have thought that this needs to be perfect now. And I mean, yeah, some people might write a book that almost don't need any editing at all, but most people need at least a little revision on the book, a little few touches here and there, because at least for me, when I am like in the mode, I am not thinking that, oh, maybe I should have this in the book, because I am like in a certain mood where I just write and I see what I have written down, what will this chapter be about, and maybe I am like thinking when I am done, this will definitely need some revision, but I don't go back and do that, because then I might forget that I have said that in that chapter, and then I might write something similar again in the next chapter, and then you will have to choose which chapter will it say that in. And I feel like once you get the flow and once you like know what the story is about, what genre it will be in, it is much easier to write a book and actually feel like this is going to be a great book. And I will say my last advice is to don't care what our other people think. Just write what you want to write. Because the thing is, some people will say that you will never be able to write a good book because, yeah, they might think that you are an awful writer. But don't care what other people think, because it's you who is going to write the book. Yeah, it's you who will write the book. And I will say that, yeah, other people, if you publish it, other people will read it, but the main thing is that you are proud of it, because it's you who have written the book. And people are liking different kinds of books. And the thing is, I might not like a certain book, but other people, they will love it. You will always find another person who really, really enjoy to read your book. And it might be like a book they have like planned or think that will be a good book, and you have written it down. And basically, that is everything a person needs. You might write a book that fits a person perfectly. And I will just say that people shouldn't care what other people think. I mean, people might say, oh, that book sucks. But other people say that it's the best book I have ever written. I have ever read. And then I think that it's up to every person to actually choose, because I feel like you shouldn't only see the bad reviews on a book. And yeah, I mean, some people say that it lacks that. But then you kind of know until next time you write a book that I should get better on that because that lacked in my last book. Yeah. I think that when you start to write, you shouldn't think about the reviews that will come, because it's the start, and you shouldn't care what other people think. So that was like, I will say, like the beginning of the process, and yeah, I will make this once a month and talk about different things. And I think that next time I might come with an update on where I am on the book as well. But yeah, I mean, I am still writing on the book. Until next time, I definitely would have gotten really far into it. I am starting to get in the writing mood again. I just need to write some more. So yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below for more videos. And I will see you next time. Bye!